Today we are going to review our log file reports. We have two log file reports. We have a log file by user and a log file by date and time. We will of course review the differences between these reports today. But your log files are available only under your administration menu, so you do need that administrator user type in order to access these. Now, I've got both of our log file reports pulled up here in separate tabs so that we can quickly run through the difference. But first, let's walk through what exactly these log files capture and report for us. Our log files are capturing any schedule activity. So what that means is anytime an employee is signed off or removed from a shift, or anytime an employee is signed on or added to a shift, you will find that data right here in those log file reports. Now, our log file reports also capture anytime an employee views a certification message. So that is the pop-up or log-on message that employees receive notifying them of an upcoming or already expired certification. So anytime an employee views that message, that is also captured here. We'll walk through an example of that as well. But let's go ahead and review the quick difference between the two log file reports. The data in these reports is the exact same. The only difference here is the way that the reports are sorted. So our log file by date and time is of course sorting by date and time. So it's going to show us the earliest record that we have all the way down to the most recent record that we have. But of course, this is dependent on that date range that we have selected up top. Now, our log file by user report sorts by user by default. So we group together all updates that this specific employee has made, and then we move in alphabetical order to the next employee. So we'll see all of Jacob's records, then we move on to David's records, Robert's are next, and so on. But again, the data is the same, so this really just comes down to personal preference and how you would like to view this report. So let's walk through the columns here so that we can get a better idea of what exactly these tell us. The date and the time columns, of course, are telling us exactly when this particular update was made. So if we're looking at the first line item, this update was made on October 3rd at around 9:45 in the morning. Now the user column, this is telling us who made this specific update. So in this case, that was Robert Cunningham. And typically what you're going to see in your user column are just your administrators and your schedulers. So anyone who has the right to make updates to your schedule. And then finally, the action column, this is telling us what exactly was updated on the schedule. So in this example here, David Chase was signed off or removed from his shift on October 10th. He was scheduled to work 0600 to 1800 on the day dispatcher shift. So we know that it was Robert Cunningham who made this update on October 3rd. The biggest tip that we can give when it comes to finding something specific in your log files or getting clarification on an update that was made on your schedule is to utilize the search bar that the reports provide. Using this search bar is a whole lot easier than scrolling through the log file reports and trying to find what you need manually. So in your search bar, we can search for several things. We can search for a specific date, so the date of the shift. We can search for the employee's name, or we can search for the name of the shift or position. So for example purposes, let's say we see that an employee is scheduled on a shift on November 3rd and we did not add them, and we'd like to know who added them to that shift and when. So this is a pretty standard example. This is typically what we see the log file used for. It could go either way. An employee is scheduled for a shift that they don't typically work and you'd like clarification on who added them to that shift. Or maybe an employee is no longer scheduled for a shift that they're supposed to work, and you'd like clarification on who removed them and when. So I'll show you when searching for a specific date here. Again, we're going to use that November 3rd example. There's a shift we want more information on. So if we type 11/3, you'll notice that we get no results. That is because this report here uses a very specific date and time format. We want to make sure when we search that we're using that format. So we need to search for 03. And then of course we get a result here. So we can see based on this record that on October 9th at around 1500, Robert Cunningham added Samantha Denning to a shift on November 3rd. We can see that this shift is a 24-hour shift, 6A to 6A, and this is our investigations shift that she is now working. Again, we could also search for an employee's name or the name of a shift if we wanted to. The other thing to be mindful of in here is the date range that you have selected. So if you know that you typically schedule a month in advance, you'll want to extend this date range to accommodate for that. Now, the other thing that we're going to see in our log files that I mentioned earlier is that certification expiration message record. So we're going to find when exactly employees viewed that message, and that's going to be displayed here as certification expiration messages viewed under that action column. Now, as always, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to the eSchedule support team. We'd be more than happy to help you find something specific in your log files or answer any questions you might have about either of these reports here.